conceit as part of perception because one considers oneself more superior, inferior, equal than the other. Conceit further gives rise to a pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feeling. From this perception and feelings, it affects one's choices, volition, formation. Incidentally, certain choices also gives rise to more conceit. Question: under this context, could Ajahn please give some guidance on how to tackle conceit in one's mundane life? 2. How to eradicate deep-rooted conceit in one's unconscious mind, anusaya level.
Okay, well, in your daily life is, one of the ways that I always like to think about conceit is that we are much more equal than we actually think we are. Yeah, the kind of one of the points of the Buddha is that we are always changing, we're always moving from one thing to another. We are not, what we are is not inherent to us. We are kind of changing in this life. Maybe we are born in a good way, maybe we are intelligent, maybe we are educated, maybe we are well off and all of these kind of things. But this thing changes so incredibly fast. In past lives and in future lives, it is likely that you were a very different kind of person. You were not poor, you were poor maybe, or maybe you were not so intelligent, or maybe you were badly educated, maybe you were handicapped, maybe all of these kind of things. We have all been there. We have all done these kind of things in the past. And unless we get out of samsara, we're going to be there again in the future. There will be a future life when you were born in a different country, a future life when you will belong to a different nation. You will have all of these kind of different states, different gender, whatever it is. So once you start to see that all of these things are already inside of you, you are not different from these other people. It's already there. It is just waiting to come out. In a future life, you will be there again. In the past, you have already been there. And once you start to understand this, you understand that actually there is no difference between you and all the other people around you. You are not better, you are not worse, you are not even equal, because equal means that there is somehow we can compare each other, but we can't even compare because we're always changing, always moving from one thing to the next one. So when you see another person and you feel conceited, maybe you feel superior somehow to the other person, remember that you have been like they have been before. They have been like you before. In the future, these roles will change again. And so you cannot really compare. Comparison is just a kind of an act of we're focusing too much on the way things are right in this moment, thinking that we understand how things are in this moment. But even this moment, very often we don't really fully understand it. We don't fully know what actually is going on here. So by thinking like this, you can reduce that sense of conceit, and you can become much more neutral about how you feel about yourself in comparison to other people and other beings. In terms of uprooting the conceit, the anusaya, the underlying tendency, this is called the asmimana anusaya in the Pali Suttas. It means the conceit I am, the underlying tendency to the conceit I am. Well, that can really only happen after a state of samadhi. It's when you attain a state of samadhi, you come out of that, and the very first thing that you let go of is the sakkaya ditthi. Sakkaya ditthi is the view that you exist in some kind of inherent way, the idea that I am a particular kind of person. This is the first thing, and that is the beginning of the uprooting of asmimana, the conceit I am. This is the starting point of that. That's when you become a stream winner. So it's a very profound thing. Becoming a stream winner is not something that you will happen to you easily. So these things are very far advanced ideas on the path. And then once you become a stream mentor, you continue practicing, and eventually you uproot the conceit I am completely as a consequence of continued practice. But again, these things are very, very profound. If you're able to reduce the conceit in daily life, then you're doing really, really well already, because most of us are conceited in certain ways. So focus on that. That is really what matters. And that will enable you to deepen your meditation practice, because conceit is one of the obstacles to meditation. Yeah, because you think about yourself, you're concerned about yourself, you think about what other people think about you, and all of these kind of things. And your mind confabulates things. It papanchas about these things. So by reducing conceit in this very life, you're already moving in the right direction and allowing meditation to happen.
Thank you, Ajahn. Dear Ajahn, why is reflection of sickness not mentioned in the sutta? Everyone who is alive will have direct experience of sickness and feels awful when one is sick. Whereas rotting corpse, etc., is something that will happen in the future. Isn't it easier to relate to sickness of the body?
Yeah, that's a good point. Why is sickness not mentioned here? I don't know. I guess the way the Buddha works, he mentions different things in different places, and sometimes I guess you have to make a choice. Where should I talk about this? Should I talk about this in connection with body contemplation, or should the Buddha talk about this? Maybe does he think he should talk about that in a different kind of connection? And usually the place the Buddha talks about sickness is in connection with the Four Noble Truths. Yeah, that's usually where you find the idea of illness. And so I think it's just a matter of having to make choices sometimes, having to decide where you're going to talk about something. And for some reason, he then chose to talk about sickness, old age, and death as one group, as the noble truth of suffering. And then when it comes to body contemplation, it talks about these other things. So I think it's just a choice of where to talk about these things.
Thank you, Ajahn. Sukhiya to Ajahn, you mentioned the sequence of meditation from body parts, corpse, skeleton, etc., continuing with breathing meditation. Is that the necessary sequence, or can we contemplate the other way around?
You can contemplate in many different ways. There isn't any one way that is right. So, for example, you can do the 4 elements, and then that will reduce your attachment to the body. Then you watch the breath. But if you find that your breath meditation is not really developing properly, then you can go back to the 4 elements again and do some of that to deepen your attachment from the body. And then you can come back to the breath again, yeah, as a consequence. And you can, if you do the contemplation of the 4 elements in a deep way, it can actually lead to a very strong sense of detachment as well. So that can take you quite far, yeah, in your meditation practice if you do that in the right way. So so there isn't any right sequence, but usually you have to come back to the breath at some stage, because the breath is really the object that the Buddha recommends us to use, yeah, for the this kind of situation, because that is the thing which really calms you down, enables you to achieve a sense of stillness of the mind. The breath is a very powerful object to enable samadhi, whereas these other objects are not used quite in that way in the suttas. The breath is always very clearly, you see it stage by stage, all the way leading to awakening itself. It's the method that the Buddha used, yeah, in leading to awakening. And I think it is the main meditation object to be used. Always good to come back to the breath.
Thank you, Ajahn. Ajahn, is the Goenka meditation in line with the suttas? Goenka talks a lot about body sensation meditation a lot. Is this contemplation of feelings?
Is it aligned with the suttas? I think the Goenka meditation is like everything. There are strengths and there are weaknesses. Whatever teacher you listen to, there will be strengths in their teaching, there will be weaknesses in their teaching. So I don't think it is useful to be too judgmental about other meditation subjects or other meditation teachers, but it is useful to be aware of the strengths and the weaknesses. And I think the strength of the Goenka system is that it gives access to a lot of people to meditation practice, yeah, because it is available in large number of meditation centers around the world. A lot of people started out in meditation using the Goenka method. There are lots of monastics that I know who started with the Goenka method. And so it is very useful as an introduction to meditation. The weakness of the Goenka system is that it is based very narrowly on a very small range of suttas. Goenka method is almost exclusively based on the Satipatthana Sutta, and it is based on the Satipatthana Sutta without the kind of historical understanding of the Satipatthana Sutta, understanding how it was built up over time. And so for that reason, you know, they start off by doing a few days of mindfulness of breathing. Then they go on to contemplation of feelings. And the way they contemplate feelings is by watching the feelings of the body. And that maybe it is not wrong. But the way that the Buddha discusses the contemplation of feeling in the suttas is always through the breath meditation. Yeah, the breath meditation is not different from feeling contemplation. The context in which you observe the feelings is always the breath. Yeah, the breath is used all the way to do the feelings, then the mind, then the Dhamma at the very end. The breath goes all the way through her. So the breath is like the link that links all the four satipatthanas together. Mind, the feelings, body, and everything all the way through. And that, I think, is the main way of understanding meditation in the suttas. This is how the Buddha really explains this. Is it wrong to focus on the body? I don't know if it is wrong. It may be one way of doing it. If it works for somebody, then it is right. But the way the Buddha recommends is using the breath. And because the Buddha recommends that, that is what I would always do myself, personally. Yes.
If my sister still holds grudges and jealousy about me, to her nekama renunciation while I became a Meiji, and her view is I'm not responsible or running away from my responsibility or hiding away. My view and her view is totally different. And each time I talk about Dhamma, she said not to talk about it.
Yeah. So she is saying that, sorry, is that finished, Bobby?
Yeah, finished.
Yeah, okay. So she is saying that you are being irresponsible because you're becoming a Meiji. And you know, these things are, generally speaking, if someone becomes a monastic, whether it's a Meiji or a bhikkhu or a bhikkhuni or a samanera or whatever, generally speaking, it is something very beautiful. It is very powerful. It is someone moving towards, you know, something greater, something larger, a broader vision and understanding of reality. It's wonderful when people do these things, and it's something that we should always praise because it's very powerful. And I would always, when someone does these things, I would say, what a wonderful thing it is that you are actually daring to take this kind of step. It shows a very profound and beautiful commitment to the Buddhist path. That is the general idea, how I would normally consider these things. So I think it is wonderful that you are doing this, and I think it is very, very praiseworthy. But of course, we should also be careful that we do these things in the right way. Yeah, we should do it in the way that actually is responsible. So, for example, if you have children, you can't just leave your children on the road and say, I'm going to become a monk, and now you have to look after yourself. That would be irresponsible, right? And no one can really do that. And also, if we have responsibility for elderly parents, for example, we need to make sure that they are reasonably well taken care of. Yeah, so that they don't kind of going to suffer enormously if we decide to become a monastic, for example. And one of the interesting things about the Buddha himself, is that when we look at the life of the Buddha, it is often said that the Buddha, he left his wife and child behind. This is kind of the usual way that we think about the way the Buddha lived. But actually that story is not really true. That is not actually what happened. When you read the suttas, what the Buddha did, he spoke to his parents. He said to them, listen, I want to become a monk. Can we sort this out? Can we deal with this? And his parents cried. Yeah, this is what you find in the suttas. And because his parents cried, we know that there was some communication going on. We know the Buddha didn't just leave his child and his wife behind. He had a deal, to ensure that they were all looked after he left the household life. In the same way, if we are responsible in the way we do things, and we do things in the right way, then it is very, very praiseworthy to become a monastic. It shows a commitment to Buddhism. That is just wonderful. And if you want to be on the highway to achieving good meditation, positive outcomes in your practice, then of course the monastic life is the best way. And the reason it is the best way is because the Buddha laid it down for this very purpose. And I know that many of you are from Malaysia, because this is done by the BGF in KL, who's organizing this retreat. Some of you are not from Malaysia, but that's okay. And we here at Bodhinyana, we have 4 monks who are originally from Malaysia. Yeah, and you may know them, and they are really wonderful monks, and they are excellent monks. And I'm really happy that here at Bodhinyana Monastery, we can be like an international hub where we are developing monks from all the way around the world. And eventually, I hope those monks will go back to Malaysia and they will teach you. And some of you will know who they are already because you have met them before. And so it's really cool that we can develop this and we can see really good people practicing Buddhism in the right way, creating more happiness in the world, reducing suffering in the world. It is not irresponsible to become a monastic. It is the highest kind of responsibility, because you are taking responsibility for not only for your own happiness and reduction of suffering, you're taking responsibility for the happiness of everyone in the world. When you become a teacher, eventually it will enable you to give teachings that give rise to happiness, that reduces suffering for hundreds, thousands of people in the world. What a wonderful thing that is. That is the highest kind of responsibility. And if your sister thinks that you're being irresponsible, maybe she is the one who is being irresponsible because she is stopping you from doing the highest thing that we can do. That, to me, is perhaps even more irresponsible. So we have to understand these things in the right way. And when we understand it in the right way, and we give up the life of lay life in a responsible way, we do it in the right way, not by cutting people off, but doing things in the right way, then I think becoming a monastic is the most responsible thing anyone can do.
Thank you, Ajahn. Next question. Read news on experienced monk in deep absorption, 5 weeks, put in coffin by disciples, brought back to normal consciousness after that period. Can Ajahn please comment? Thank you.
So you were saying, Bobby, that can you please repeat the beginning again?
The questioner read a news on an experienced monk who is in deep absorption and placed in a coffin for 5 weeks by the disciples. Then later came back to normal consciousness.
Maybe that happened. I don't know. It's very hard to say. Sometimes you read newspaper articles. Sometimes it is not trustworthy. Very difficult to know. Is it possible? Maybe it is possible. 5 weeks sounds like a very long time. Maybe if it was a few days, I could find it more likely. Even if they were inside the coffin, can we know that they were in meditation all the time? Maybe there was something else going on. I don't know. It's very, very hard to say. It's just a newspaper article. I'm not able to judge what actually really happened there.
Okay, thank you, Ajahn. Next question. Can Ajahn please comment on this experience? From the mind's eye, one sees a very bright, boundless light. Light was very bright, but not cool at all, just feel very soft and comfortable. Also could not see horizon from any direction, boundless and unlimitless. It's not a place, but a state. No sound, completely flat, no body, complete nothingness. However, one feels incredibly happy and blissful. Upon coming out from meditation, body feels very relaxed. And when walking, one feels like floating on the air.
Yes.
Upon reflection, one realizes that all five senses were gone and no hindrances, but still have some feelings through the mind's eye. What is this state?
This sounds like a beautiful state of samadhi. Yeah, it sounds wonderful. And I think that is exactly how people will explain samadhi. Yeah, usually they have this kind of state. I cannot tell you exactly what it is. It may have been a jhana state, or maybe it was just prior to jhana. It is very, very difficult to know. But sounds beautiful. And I would say, well done. If that is the sort of thing you can have and achieve, marvelous. It means that you're practicing very well and you're heading in the right direction. What I would say is, don't hold on to that state. You have now experienced that state. Now you have to learn to let go of that state. You have to pretend as if it never really happened. Yeah, this is a state that now, because if you hold on to that, it may hinder you in kind of achieving it again. So let go of that state completely. Feel fortunate that you were able to achieve something so profound, and feel fortunate that you've had the insights that come with that. Now is the time to let go and enjoy your new meditation. Every meditation that you have from now on, enjoy it in a new way. Every meditation has something beautiful in it. Enjoy whatever that meditation gives you without thinking about the previous state. If you think about the previous state, it will block you from enjoying lesser meditation states that you can have now. So the trick is now to let go of that. So marvelous, and it's wonderful that you're able to experience these things. Now is the time to let go. It is not your state. It happens through causes and things in nature. It is not because you are a wonderful person that these things happen. They happen as a matter of course. And when you make it into non-self in this way, there is a greater chance you will be able to re-experience this state again in the future.
Thank you, Ajahn. That's all for now.